So my next question is 5G becoming a legitimate alternative to fixed line connectivity? And Nathan, we might as well pick up where we left off.
Oh, there's a big question. Yes, but only in places and in pockets. And that's one of the challenges with 5G services now. Perhaps it's worth taking a step back just to explain our proposition and what we do. So we are the biggest provider of wholesale mobile services out through the channel to the SMB community. And what our wholesale proposition, it's called an ISP proposition, enables us to do is, in effect, enable our resellers to become a wholesaler themselves. So what they're able to do with it is to build their own propositions and put their own value around it and then take it out and bill it themselves into the SMB, but with the reassurance for the customer of an O2 Blue SIM or a Vodafone Red SIM. And the interesting thing for me about with 5G is all of those services automatically, when 5G is available, come live. So there's nothing to do when you have standard ISP services through partners to take on 5G. So that's really, really straightforward. But there's a bigger question here, isn't there, about the switch off and about whether or not we can use mobile services to replace fixed line services. And I look at this a couple of ways. So the mobile market itself is a big market for SMB in the UK. It's north of 2 billion just for the SMB community. And the thing is that the IoT bit, which everybody thinks is what that is about, is actually less than 5% of that market. Nearly all of the market is very traditional SIM-only type services, data and voice, messaging, bundles, those sorts of things. And actually, when we look at our base, about 15% of that base, it's across 750,000 business connections, about 15% of it is actually data only today. So a lot of those traditional SIMs, in the right application, are doing exactly that job. So partners are using it in 4G, 5G backup scenarios. They're using it where they cannot get services at all. But not obviously the 5% is really when that SIM isn't capable, and that's when you want to think about things like multi-network SIMs and those sorts of things. So it's a long answer to a quick question, I guess. The prop is there. It's able to deliver on the vast majority of the use cases that you see for things like the switch off and for replacing services. You may find that you need specific IoT services for certain areas, but actually our partners in the main are using our core wholesale ISP prop in order to deliver the switch off services.
Fantastic. And can I dovetail that and bring in Chris, who I think was going to jump in anyway?
Well, I was going to, yes, because I'm glad you sort of brought up IoT, and quite rightly, it's a small sort of section.
Fast growing, but
absolutely,
but a small part.
That's right. But what we are seeing, certainly from a billing point of view, is an absolute explosion in the amount of data that we're having to get in, we're having to rate very quickly, and get out again as well. And certainly IoT is a part of that. But just generally, people finding lots of applications for consuming much more data. So we're always constantly looking at how we can just shave margins off, the time that it takes to actually rate your data. Also, just automating those processes of getting the data in, billing it, and getting the data out again. And that's becoming really, really key in a lot of the things that we're looking at the moment.
I think also it's looking at the reporting on all of those services as well. Of course, you want to be able to have the tools to say, actually, how profitable are these products and services, and making those informed decisions and looking at the suppliers that you're using and actually having that data available to you to really report on that granular level of detail. But yeah, I think the whole management of how you're provisioning those services, that needs to be automated, removing manual processes, especially when you're taking on new products and services. You've got to have that in place, otherwise you cause yourself an internal admin nightmare of things being done manually. So I think the key from what we're seeing with our partners is automate that as much as possible and have all that information to report and look at those margins and make those informed decisions. I
think one more thing on buying data as well is buy it smartly. So what are your customers actually using? It's great to say, oh, you need unlimited, but majority of them don't. I think it's something like 85% of people are on the wrong data. So analyse it, use your systems, use your suppliers, really dig in deep to find out what they're actually using, because you can save them money, which everybody needs right now, and you can save yourself money as well and better everybody's margins. I think buying smart with data is a key thing that a lot of people can change and improve on quickly.